You know, 2020 is looking pretty good for gaming. Ain't that right, computer?
Not if you plan on pirating Atari games for the 4th year in a row.
I told you never to speak of that. No, but I'm talking about new releases like Final Fantasy VII, Cyberpunk, Avengers, Animal Crossing, and a remake to a beloved game. I mean, just look at those graphics. Who wouldn't want to play the best Spongebob game ever made? And you know what? This is making me want to go back. Yeah, back to the original game on Game Boy Advance. Let me take you back in time. Mainly 2003. You're sitting there on your couch playing with Mega Bloks because your mom refused to get you Legos. And there, on the screen, is a commercial for the greatest 3D platformer ever. It's fucking Spongebob SquarePants on the GameCube. Your excitement is through the roof. An adventure where you can play as SpongeBob, Pat Richard, and Sandals to defeat Plankton's army of brain-dead robots. God! And then your mother comes home from work on that day with a bag from Toys R Us. She pulls out a box that says SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom for the Game Boy. What the fuck, mother? That's honestly not how it happened. I was 2 years old in 2003. I barely knew what a SpongeBob was. But this is the version of the game I grew up with, and, you know, I never really beaten it. So why not start 2020 off with a classic that was put on a system that it wasn't a classic on? So the game shares the same plot as the GameCube title, where Plankton creates a fuckload of robots to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, but he forgot to set the obey switch to obey. Why would you ever make that switch for sentient robots? Plankton, that was very dumb of you. They fly around Bikini Bottom and Mr. Krabs tells you to fucking kick shit into gear and get rid of these gangly fucks. Yeah, it's a simple plot. In fact, it's more simplified on the GBA version, only using character sprites and dialogue boxes for its cutscenes. But it's also really funny, like the font of the dialogue boxes is too big, so every time you're just left with one word at the end of it. Now, of course, things are gonna have to be this simple, you know? The Game Boy Advance has the power of a Super Nintendo with like half a Mario mushroom in it. I mean, that's not a bad thing. The game still looks good and has a nice art style. I have a hankering that they use pre-rendered 3D animations for all these characters because everyone just looks like they have different lighting on them. I mean, just look at Sandy's overexposed ass. SpongeBob also just looks off. I think it's because the outline around his eyes are gray instead of black, so let's see if that changes anything. Oh. I can see why they didn't do that then. Plus, the animations are very much smooth. So smooth, in fact, that it's really a fucking nightmare to platform. So yeah, the game is a 2D platformer, but half the time, it's a shitty one. I don't know why, but I keep getting fucked over by the weird input lag and slowdown. Remember when you played games on the NES? You probably don't, because I think you're all younger than me, and I didn't even fucking grow up with an NES. But remember when you played it and when a bunch of sprites came onto the screen and made the game run at 2 frames per second? Now imagine that, just without the sprites on screen. Seriously, I don't know why this game slows down from time to time. It kinda just does. Seriously, I don't know why this game slows down from time to time. It kinda just does it as a fuck you, I think. Like, imagine I was just talking and mid-sentence the frame rate just increasingly drops to very low.
Why would you do that?
I don't know, why does the game freeze so often? Answer me that, computer, because I bet you freaking can't. The input lag isn't even input lag, it's more like the animation between the button press and the action is just too long. Like, I press the button and then the animation occurs, and then the action I want happens. I mean, it's fine with the bubble attack, but not with jumping. It's so hard to time jumps right sometimes because of this very minor issue. I'd rather eat a fucking glass sandwich than do this shit. The game also does this thing where it progressively gets harder and harder, like an actual fucking video game. But it's almost jarring how it happens. Like, the game is split into chapters. One is pretty forgiving and straightforward enough. You just gotta get from point A to E, with B, C, and D being these golden spatulas that offer no story element and are just there to be there. I mean, I don't get it. What is also there just to be there are these Krabby Patties. There are 20 in each level, and if you collect them all, you get to play a bonus minigame. And out of the 2 that I got to play, they both turned out to be fucking impossible. It takes some serious trial and error to get every patty in these things. You are constantly moving, and if you don't know the positions of the patties, then you will not be able to collect them all, creating a trial and error situation. And still to this day, I have not completed a single bonus level. And you know, that's just something I'll have to take to my grave. But yeah, the game goes from this nice straight line to just this. Again, I couldn't tell you why. It's almost out of nowhere too, as Chapter 1 has some really good design levels that don't take too much time to complete. And then Chapter 2 and 3 has some dog shit that takes me 30 minutes to do a level! What the fuck? The game just decides out of nowhere to become this fucking exploration puzzle game that makes you figure shit out all the fucking time. It's such tricky shit too, like lining up a shot to shoot a bubble at this one that's off screen. I mean, I'll give them that the puzzles are fairly challenging from time to time, but half that challenge comes from the whack-ass control I stated earlier. The enemy variation is also dumb, not in the sense that they're badly designed, it's more so the placement and overall function from level to level. The enemies are more used to get to higher places in earlier stages of the game, but then they slowly introduce bomb guys, rocket guys, spiky guys, shocky guys, and big guys, along with jellyfish, shocky trails, piss tar, and various pits that can take your life away in just 1 second. Most of the time, an enemy's purpose is to be moved or to be used to solve puzzles, and don't you fucking think for a second that you can kill them, because they will just respawn right in front of you. Like, you actually can't be off screen for them to spawn, or they can't be off screen. You gotta be right in front of them for them to do it, making them not enemies, they're more like keys to solve a fucking puzzle. But then why are they robots, and then why can't they hurt you, and then I need to calm down. Better. So the enemies aren't enemies. Does that mean the bosses aren't bosses? No, they're actually quite good. The first one is Robot Sandals, and it's a pretty simple boss fight that you just jump on. I mean, it's nothing too hard, but it's a good first boss fight. The second boss is Robot Paddle, and he's a bit different. You're flinging bombs at him in a thrilling chase sequence that's honestly quite fun. The third one is Robot Squidward, and now, for those who don't know, this was a boss fight cut from the GameCube version of the game. But hey, we have it here, so that's 1 point for the GPA version, baby. Score, guys, I'm keeping score. Got it. The Squiggly boss fight involves Squiggles here slamming down his tentacle with spikes on them to try and smush you. Before they rise up, you need to grab a bomb and hit him in the face. After you hit him a few times, his head will start moving, making it a tad bit harder to hit him, but not impossible. After you hit him a few more times, you win. And that's it. But you may have noticed that Spongebob over here is writing something. That being Mystery the Seahorse. You see, this is what brings the game from a 3 to like a fucking 3.5. Mystery is like the Yoshi of this game, but way fucking better. You can move faster, jump higher, float for a hot sec, and instead of using a long, lanky-ass tongue, he just chomps the robots. Can you do that, Yoshi? No. Fuck you. You know what? That's gonna be another point for the GBA version. I'll put it on the board. Done. Okay, let's wrap this up. You get to Plankton, and his sprite is made up of like 5 pixels at most. He says that the robots will steal the Krabby Patty formula even if they don't obey him, but he'll just steal them back from them, you know? He'll steal from the robots that were trying to steal from him. What a plan. SpongeBob doesn't like this plan, however, and he tries to destroy the machine. Now, this is really just fun. You're on this conveyor belt trying to chuck bombs into the top of the robot to hurt the machine. And by that being fun, I mean it's confusing. At first, I had no idea what the fuck to do. I didn't think the way to win was to jump off the enemies that I was trying to eat to hurt the machine. But yeah, 5 hits and then we fight Metal SpongeBob. There wasn't even a cutscene in between that. This is the same premise as the robot machine, but this time you're throwing exploding Krabby Patties at the sponge. I mean, it's really easy. And after that, you get these credits with the compressed SpongeBob theme song. I don't know why it's like this. Now, what do you think happens after this? A special thank you or a cutscene with all of our friends that we just saved? Well, this happens. You go back to the beginning! It's fucking Mario Sunshine all over again. You know what? That's it. I'm done with this game. I'm done. It sucks. Fuck it. Okay, it's not that bad of a game, but it's very different from its GameCube counterpart, almost to the point where it might be easier to say that these are different games. The game did get more challenging later, and levels did take 30 minutes to complete. However, there are ideas here that work well, but it creates 2 different identities. The platformer side and the puzzle exploration side, and to be honest, the platformer side was more enjoyable and sadly less abundant. But this is a game I hold special to me, as it was indeed my first video game I've ever played, and you know what? I have no clue what I saw in it. But finally, I beat it after all these years of owning it, and you know what? A part of me feels at peace, like a part of my childhood has finally gotten the rest that it deserves.
But didn't you cheat?
What?
I saw you enter the password to unlock all the levels.
Computer, I don't know what you're talking about as you show me footage of me obviously cheating. Why would you do that, man?
You do know what happens to cheaters, right?
What?
The answer to me. It's I, Lord of Games, and I reprimand anyone who cheats in a video game. Prepare yourself, boy, for a lifetime of—
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I mean, I just got done with a whole Portal adventure. I'd be damned if I'm opening After Effects again.
It doesn't matter what you think. Now you must fight for your life in the battle of the...
Oops, looks like I won. This is a fucking stupid video. There's glass everywhere and I gotta clean that up now.